We spend a lot of our time arguing, whether the debate revolves around political policies, scientific models, or basic morality. We tend to lock into a position and defend it with total, unshakable certainty that our view represents the absolute truth. Thousands of years ago, Indian philosophers mapped this exact human condition using a famous parable, the story of 6 blind men encountering an elephant in the wild. Wanting to understand what this creature is, they reach out. The first man touches the tusk and concludes he is holding a spear. Another grabs the tail and determines it is a rope. A third feels the trunk and recoils, convinced he is facing a python. The man holding the ear is sure he has a hand fan. The one hugging the leg thinks it is a sturdy pillar. And the last man, feeling the vast side of the animal's belly, declares they have run into a massive wall. The central irony of the story is obvious to us as the observer. Every single man is factually correct about the physical data right in front of his hands. But because they extrapolate that tiny, localized data point into an absolute conclusion, they are completely wrong about the reality of the elephant. The point of the parable is that we are the blind men. Equipped with limited biological senses, we wander through a vastly complex universe, grabbing onto isolated fragments of data and claiming we understand the whole. Long before the modern scientific method, an ancient Indian framework called Jain Philosophy recognized this cognitive blind spot and developed a systematic cure for it. Jain thinkers realized that if we want to stop arguing over fragments, we cannot just guess at the shape of the elephant. We have to map out the fundamental architecture of reality itself. They started with a core concept called Anikantavada, which translates to the many-sided nature of reality. It is the rule that no object in the universe is just one thing. Rather, everything possesses infinite attributes. To explain this, Jain philosophers formulated a precise definition of existence: Utpada Vyaya Dravya Yuktam Sat. This dictates that reality is a simultaneous mixture of creation, destruction, and permanence. Consider a pen. Its shape can be dented, its killer will fade, and its ink will run dry. These exterior traits are impermanent states, but beneath those fading properties, the foundational atoms constructing the pen are permanent. They persist long after. Because reality is this fluid, layered mixture of both permanent and impermanent traits, looking at an object from only one angle guarantees a scientifically and philosophically incomplete understanding. The problem scales up rapidly. Jain philosophy holds that an object's identity includes its relationship to everything outside of its own boundaries. A physical item has sva-paryaya, or internal attributes, like its own shape and size. But it also has parparya, external attributes, meaning its identity exists relative to the shape, size, and function of everything else around it. Under this framework, the leg of the elephant does not exist in isolation. You can only truly understand the leg if you understand how it connects to the trunk, the environment the elephant walks in, and the gravity holding it down to the earth. Because everything is connected through this vast web of external attributes, acquiring absolute knowledge of an object literally requires you to understand the entire universe. For an average human mind, that task is impossible. If reality is infinitely complex and our perception is hopelessly limited, how do we navigate the world without going crazy? The blind men reached their wrong conclusions through the use of absolute language. By stating, "This is a python," they treated a single localized data point as the final, complete reality. The practical epistemological solution to this is a Jain doctrine called Syadvada, the philosophy of conditional truth and relativity. At the core of Syadvada is the Sanskrit word syat, which loosely translates to perhaps or relative to my perspective. Jain thinkers argued that instead of making absolute claims, we must explicitly frame our statements around our limited viewpoint. We actually deal with this kind of relative truth every single day, particularly with something as simple as the weather. Imagine a traveler who lives on the equator in Africa, where summer temperatures regularly push 55 degrees Celsius. If he lands in New Delhi on a 45-degree day in June, he will step outside and declare the weather to be pleasantly cool. Contrast this with a traveler from Norway, where a June day peaks around 9 degrees. If she steps off the exact same flight into the exact same city, she will experience New Delhi as a boiling furnace. The 45-degree temperature is an objective fact, but both travelers are telling the truth. Their statements are completely accurate, but only relative to their specific contextual baselines. The story of the elephant reveals the core absurdity of arguing over fragments. Intellectual humility is our most reliable guide in an infinitely complex universe, a constant reminder that we are only ever holding one small part of the truth.